Hi, welcome to Myers ASMR. Happy New Year. Happy New Year. Hey, realize that as you focus on what you don't want, more and more of it comes because this is a vibrational universe. Yeah, as you focus on what you don't want, more and more of it comes because this is a vibrational universe. Well, I must have been focusing on eggplant parm when I thought I was ordering chicken parm yesterday. So, this is what I got. And you know what? Hey, maybe deep down, I felt like I needed vegetables. So let's dig in. I picked up some food for New Year's Eve. And when I got home, I realized it was eggplant parm and not chicken parm. And I looked at the receipt and it said eggplant. So I said, okay. Because I ordered it online, so I could have double checked. But I said, you know what? I probably did. It's alright. And they put it over spinach, which is the way I prefer it. I picked it up from a spot called Village Trattoria, and their food is really good. I added some extra extensions to my hair. This is called water wave. They consider it a crochet braid. It's a bit fragile to work with it because it gets frizzy so quickly. I don't even think you can wash it without it becoming frazzled and bushy looking. So I'll probably just leave that in for a week. That's why I love my Hardy twists. These have been washed so many times and they stay the same. I've had these for like maybe 2.5 years. I kid you not. pieces coming out of their extension braids. So I said, let me give it a try. And I really like it. Really, really like it. But I notice even on other people, they start to get frizzy. Are you enjoying the holidays? I got a treadmill for Christmas. I'm super happy. I love this dish. All the elements have to be right. The sauce, the cheese, the protein, your eggplant's gotta be cooked right. I popped some popcorn last night. And I love it. I keep it healthier by drizzling olive oil on it. And then I shake this over it. It's Orville Redenbacher's movie theater butter. It's so good, but I found that without any oil on the corn, like, it wouldn't stick. So I had to add something to make it stick, and I wasn't about to do butter or those chemical oils. I mean, olive oil is a different taste, but I got used to it. But once I shake this on it, I don't really taste the olive oil anymore. So and that stuff is not that salty, which is great. They have different flavors. I also got the nacho cheese flavor, but I like the movie theater butter seasoning better. I want to try their white cheddar. And I got an air popper. Keeps it healthier and cleaner. I mean, with the air popper, there's no mess. There's nothing to clean up. shake it up. Pour it back into the bowl. It's so freaking good. No, it does not taste exactly like movie theater. I mean, how could it? But it's still really, really good to me. It is hard to stop. And it doesn't even take a lot of kernels to fill a bowl this size. So for quite cheaply, you can have a family snack. Watch Netflix. We watched the 688. Really good. I like this better than microwave popcorn. It tastes fresher. It's hard to stop eating, but if you eat too much, well, for me, my stomach feels bad. I think that's a sign to stop, don't you? Damn. Ooh, child. That could probably cure anything. Sour sop leaves, chamomile, flowers, hibiscus flowers. Petals. Peppermint tea. Excuse me. Have a squeeze of lemon and some apple cider vinegar. Anyways, let's get into the next fun part. Let's pick up with the Great Gatsby. I went in after making every possible noise in the kitchen, short of pushing over the stove, but I don't believe they heard a sound. They were sitting at either end of the couch, looking at each other as if some question had been asked or was in the air. And every vestige of embarrassment was gone. Daisy's face was smeared with tears, and when I came in, she jumped up and began wiping at it with her handkerchief before a mirror. But there was a change in Gatsby that was simply confounding. He literally glowed. Without a word or a gesture of exultation, a new well-being radiated from him and filled the little room. "Oh, hello, old sport," he said, as if he hadn't seen me for years. I thought for a moment he was going to shake hands. "It stopped raining, has it?" When he realized what I was talking about, that there were twinkle bells of sunshine in the room, he smiled like a weatherman, like an ecstatic patron of recurrent light, and repeated the news to Daisy. "What do you think of that? It stopped raining." I'm glad Jay, her throat full of aching, grieving beauty, told only of her unexpected joy. "I want you and Daisy to come over to my house," he said. "I'd like to show her around." "You're sure you want me to come?" "Absolutely, old sport." Daisy went upstairs to wash her face. Too late, I thought, with humiliation of my towels, while Gatsby and I waited on the lawn. "My house looks well, doesn't it?" he demanded. "See how the whole front of it catches the light?" I agreed that it was splendid. Yes, his eyes went over it, every arched door and square tower. "It took me just 3 years to earn the money that bought it." "I thought you inherited your money." "I did, old sport," he said automatically. "But I lost most of it in the big panic, the panic of the war." I think he hardly knew what he was saying, for when I asked him what business he was in, he answered, "That's my affair," before he realized that it wasn't an appropriate reply. "Oh, I've been in several things," he corrected himself. "I was in the drug business, and then I was in the oil business, but I'm not in either one now." He looked at me with more attention. "Do you mean you've been thinking over what I proposed the other night?" Before I could answer, Daisy came out of the house, and 2 rows of brass buttons on her dress gleamed in the sunlight. "That huge place there," she cried, pointing. "Do you like it?" "I love it, but I don't see how you live there all alone." "I keep it always full of interesting people, night and day, people who do interesting things, celebrated people. Instead of taking the shortcut along the Sound, we went down to the road and entered by the big postern." With enchanting murmurs, Daisy admired this aspect or that of the feudal silhouette against the sky, admired the gardens, the sparkling odor of jonquils and the frothy odor of hawthorn and plum blossoms, and the pale gold odor of Kiss Me at the Gate. It was strange to reach the marble steps and find no stir of bright dresses in and out the door, and hear no sound but bird voices in the trees. And inside, As we wandered through Marie Antoinette music rooms and restoration salons, I felt that there were guests concealed behind every couch and table, under orders to be breathlessly silent until we had passed through. As Gatsby closed the door of the Merton College Library, I could have sworn I heard the Allied man break into ghostly laughter. We went upstairs, through period bedrooms swathed in rose and lavender silk and vivid with new flowers, through dressing rooms and pool rooms and bathrooms with sunken baths, intruding into one chamber where a disheveled man in pajamas was doing liver exercises on the floor. It was Mr. Clip Springer, the boarder. I had seen him wandering hungrily about the beach that morning. Finally, we came to Gatsby's own apartment. A bedroom and a bath, and an Adam study where we sat down and drank a glass of some chartreuse he took from a cupboard in the wall. He hadn't once ceased looking at Daisy, and I think he revalued everything in his house according to the measure of response it drew from her well-loved eyes. Sometimes, too, he stared around at his possessions in a dazed way, as though in her actual and astounding presence none of it was any longer real. Once he nearly toppled down a flight of stairs. His bedroom was the simplest room of all, except where the dresser was garnished with a toilet set of pure dull gold. Daisy took the brush with delight and smoothed her hair, whereupon Gatsby sat down and shaded his eyes and began to laugh. "It's the funniest thing, old sport," he said hilariously. "I can't, when I try to." He had passed visibly through 2 states and was entering upon a third. After his embarrassment and his unreasoning joy, he was consumed with wonder at her presence. He had been full of the idea so long, dreamed it right through to the end, waiting, with his teeth set to speak, at an inconceivable pitch of intensity. Now in the reaction he was running down like an overwound clock. Recovering himself in a minute, he opened for us 2 hulking patent cabinets which held his massed suits and dressing gowns and ties and his shirts, piled like bricks in stacks a dozen high. I've got a man in England who buys me clothes. He sends over a selection of things at the beginning of each season, spring and fall. He took out a pile of shirts and began throwing them one by one before us. Shirts of sheer linen and thick silk and fine flannel, which lost their folds as they fell and covered the table in many-colored disarray. While we admired, he brought more, and the soft, rich heap mounted higher, shirts with stripes and scrolls, and plaids and coral and apple green and lavender and faint orange, with monograms of Indian blue. Suddenly, with a strained sound, Daisy bent her head into the shirts and began to cry stormily. "They're such beautiful shirts," she sobbed, her voice muffled in the thick folds. "It makes me sad because I've never seen such beautiful shirts before." After the house, we were to see the grounds and the swimming pool and the hydroplane and the midsummer flowers. But outside Gatsby's window, it began to rain again, so we stood in a row looking at the corrugated surface of the Sound. "If it wasn't for the mist, we could see your home across the bay," said Gatsby. "You always have a green light that burns all night at the end of your dock." Daisy put her arm through his abruptly, but he seemed absorbed in what he had just said. Possibly it had occurred to him that the colossal significance of that light had now vanished forever. Compared to the great distance that had separated him from Daisy, it had seemed very near to her, almost touching her. It had seemed as close to a star as a star to the moon. Now it was again a green light on the dock. His count of enchanted objects had diminished by one. I began to walk about the room, examining various indefinite objects in the half-darkness. A large photograph of an elderly man in yachting costume attracted me, hung on the wall over his desk. "Who's this?" That's Mr. Dan Cody, old sport." The name sounded faintly familiar. "He's dead now. He used to be my best friend years ago." There was a small picture of Gatsby, also in yachting costume, on the bureau. Gatsby with his head thrown back, defiantly, taken apparently when he was about 18. "I adore it," exclaimed Daisy. "The pompadour. You never told me you had a pompadour or a yacht." "Look at this," Gatsby said quickly. "Here's a lot of clippings about you." They stood side by side examining it. I was going to ask to see the rubies when the phone rang and Gatsby took up the receiver. "Yes. Well, I can't talk now." "I can't talk now, old sport." "I said a small town." "He must know what a small town is." "Well, he's no use to us if Detroit is his idea of a small town." He rang off. "Come here, quick," cried Daisy at the window. The rain was falling, but the darkness had parted in the west, and there was a pink and golden billow of foamy clouds above the sea. "Look at that," she whispered. And then after a moment, "I'd like to just get one of those pink clouds and put you in it and push you around." I tried to go then, but they wouldn't hear of it. Perhaps my presence made them feel more satisfactorily alone. "I know what we'll do," said Gatsby. "We'll have Clip Springer play the piano." He went out the room calling, "Ewing," and returned in a few minutes, accompanied by an embarrassed, slightly worn young man with shell-rimmed glasses and scanty blonde hair. He was now decently clothed in a sports shirt open at the neck, sneakers, and duck trousers of a nebulous hue. And this is a great place to stop, just marking the spot where I'm going to pick up next time. Don't you just love good literature? I wish I had more time to read more and more for myself. Hey, remember that as you focus on what you don't want, more and more of it comes, because this is a vibrational universe. As you focus on what you don't want, more and more of it comes, because this is a vibrational universe. Hey, if you like what I'm doing here, like and subscribe. Donate to the cause. Catch me in the next video, and may you find lasting happiness. Bye.